hurry up and get really nervous.
Okay, it's there. I got the butterflies, but I think I'll be
That's
okay.
natural. Okay. Okay. First question is, just tell me a little about Family Aid in general. What's the agency's purpose, and what kind of services do you provide for families?
Okay. So Family Aid is an agency that provides case management services to.
I'm sorry, could you just say Family Aid Boston?
Okay, yes, definitely. Okay, so should I retake?
Yep,
Okay.
anytime.
Okay. So Family Aid Boston provides a variety of service to family. In my department specifically, we provide case management, we also provide housing, and we also provide employment services. Families can get anything from child care referrals through us, but the primary goal of Family Aid Boston is to get families housed. They're coming from a shelter through the EA, so that is what the goal is. It's a housing first model to get our families housed.
Okay. Tell me about your own job. What do you do every day?
My role at Family Aid Boston is to provide case management services to families that stay in our shelter program. So I meet with families once a week. I also do monthly home visits. So pretty much whatever the need is, whether it's childcare, whether it's mental health services, families will usually come to me for those resources to get provided. So what I do is I connect with my families, and we assess them to see what those needs are, and then we'll provide the services by looking at different resources throughout the community.
Okay. Let me just ask you that one more time, and let's try to put that into the context of the Romeros.
Okay.
Maybe you can talk about how it's a very personal relationship with the clients. We work one-on-one with them, and give me, again, kind of a list of all the services.
Okay.
And if you could say,
like the Romeros?
Like the Romeros.
Yes.
We work
okay.
anytime.
Got it. So like the Romeros, something that we do as case managers is we provide comprehensive case management, which includes making referrals, building a personal relationship with our families, which is something that's extremely important, because in order for our families to come to us, they need to feel like they trust us. So initially in the beginning, it's important that we build a strong rapport. These families come from extreme circumstances of trauma. A lot of them have a history of DV. There may be a history of
I wasn't sure what DV we
domestic. I know. I'm sorry. Okay, that's the nerves going in.
No,
okay.
You're doing great.
Okay.
Really
all right.
We're just listening for places where we're going to edit with the other interviews.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
So if maybe you can start with a lot of families have a history of trauma.
Okay. So a lot of our families have a history of trauma, and this program requires that they meet certain standards that they may not necessarily be ready to meet. So our role is to build a relationship with these families so they can trust us to guide them throughout this system. A lot of our families may come from, a situation where there was domestic violence, there's some mental health issues, there's some substance abuse issues, and in order to get from point A to point B, we need to see what it is and assess what they need help with. So it's important for us to present as genuine so the families know, like, we're here to help you and your family become more stable. A lot of our families don't have trust in the system because they might have been in the system for a while now and they don't feel like they had anyone really help them. So at Family Aid, we really want to let families know that we care. It's not about a title. It's not about our roles or holding them accountable for certain things. It's more and so in terms of wanting to see them succeed on a bigger level. We don't want them to be here with us forever. We want this to be a short stop. So, moving forward, you can have an opportunity to stabilize on your own.
Okay, great. You covered another question I had.
You're leaning a little too far.
Okay.
This.
Okay.
Yeah, this, thank you.
Okay.
When families come into the agency, what kind of reception can they expect to receive? A lot of them may have chips on their shoulder about how they've been received.
So when families come here, we want them to know that they're welcome here. And I feel like what I use personally is humor. Like, this is not ideal as long as you don't throw any wild parties, you're here with us. And that usually breaks the ice with some, not all, because, you know, this is a really serious situation. So what I personally try to do is just to let them know that, you know, I'm on the outside looking in. You're the expert in this situation. You know, I want to hear from you. What is it that you want from us? You know, it's not more so in terms of me guiding the steps, but you being a part of that process. It's a strength-based model where we want the families to feel empowered. So I think it's really important that, you know, from the jump, we let families know that we're here to support you and help you help yourself.
Let me just have you do that again.
Okay.
Just a little shorter, I guess.
Okay.
Kind of what we're looking for here is
Mm-hmm.
like when they come to Family Aid
Mm-hmm.
Boston, they can expect to be treated with respect,
Okay.
with dignity, and empowered to help
Okay.
them help themselves.
Got
So
it.
Kind of like 15
Squish it
seconds.
in. Okay.
Okay, so when families come to Family Aid Boston, what kind of reception can they expect?
So when they come to Family Aid, you know, they can expect to be treated with dignity. We want our families to feel empowered. We want them to feel motivated to reach their goals. So when they first come here, we're going to ensure that everything that they're expecting of us is met in terms of being able to help them become more self-sufficient.
How do you help families like the Romeros deal with the fear they have, and maybe they're reluctant to listen to all your advice? Maybe they don't want to have somebody else tell them what to do. How do you get them to understand that you have their best interest in heart, and that the things that you're telling them are things they really need to do to move forward?
And just, I'm just gonna step in. We interviewed Harry,
Haiti.
Haiti,
Yeah.
and she just said, I didn't quite get it at first, because she sort of had a little chip on her shoulder, and they would push her sort of things, and she would say, nah.
No, why you?
But then after a while, she started to see that you guys were right and she was wrong, but it took her a long time to get there. So that's kind of what we want you to sort of speak on to Andy, of course.
Okay. Should I reference the Romeros again?
It'd be
can,
great
sure,
if-
why
yeah.
not?
Okay. So I feel like families like the Romeros, they come into our program and they're very hesitant in terms of receiving services for us and knowing what that's going to be like. There's certain rules and regulations that the families do have to follow, and we do have to hold them accountable for these things. But I think it's important, again, to build strong relationships with the families so they know that, you know, it's due to their best interests. We may not necessarily agree with all the rules and regulations set up by the state, but you're receiving a benefit, and in order to sustain this, there's certain things that the state is expecting you to do, such as, you know, providing savings, doing 30 hours activity, and we want to help you reach those goals. And that's why we have different, you know, case managers and employment and housing specialists in place to ensure that you're able to meet this and not alone. We're here to help you through every step of the way.
Knowing that you weren't their case worker, can you talk about anything that, can you talk specifically about any of the services the Romeros used? Were you able to look at their file, or, all right.
No, no.
Right.
I would have if I knew ahead of time, but I didn't get a chance to look at their file.
Okay, well, kind of from the heart now, tell me, how do you feel when you see your clients change their lives as a direct result of the help you give them every day? Why do you do this job?
I do this work because I want to see my community strive. I am from the same circumstance as a lot of these clients. I come from the same communities, and I feel like it's so important for us to continue to rise above circumstances. So when I see a family move out or get a job or do things that help them become self-sufficient, it makes me feel good because it's hope. It brings hope back into the community. With so much community violence going on right now, with so much addiction going on right now in the community, like, it's really important for us to come together to see what we can do to help these families succeed. housing is a basic need, and everyone should have that need met. Even in terms of where you choose to live, there should be an option for that. But unfortunately, with not enough affordable housing, our families have limitations. But despite these limitations, we want to show them that you can move beyond this. This is not going to be forever. You will be in a place where you and your kids have somewhere to call home.
Okay, great answer. Tell me a little about the community-based shelter program. What is the housing track for somebody? When a family comes to you and they're homeless, what is in like 30 seconds, 20 seconds, what is the process that gets them from living on the streets or in a shelter into housing?
Okay. So when families come to us, what we do in the community-based shelter program is we assess what the barriers are. Do they have a prior eviction? In terms of finances, are they able to sustain market rate? Because the thing is, subsidies don't come around as often as we would like them to come around. So we need to look into different ways to help the families become more self-sufficient. And the first thing is looking at those barriers and then applying to housing, to apply to housing opportunities.
The first thing is?
Okay, so the first thing we do is we look at the barriers. Secondly, we see where they want to live. So, we see what neighborhoods they're interested in. And then thirdly, we apply to these places in hopes of them hopefully getting a call one day that some housing is going to become available, but it's limited, especially in Boston. A lot of our families want to live in Boston, but there's not enough affordable housing here. So we have them look into other, opportunities and to look further outside of Boston.
Okay. Let me just revisit one more time the resistance. If you could say something like the Romero family was typical. Many families need to slowly understand that we have a path for them to get back on their feet and that they need to meet in certain criteria.
Okay.
Just a different version of the same thing.
Okay, no problem.
And keeping it fairly brief.
Okay. So just like the Romero family, we have families who are resistant, and we're looking in terms of like the different ways in which we can get them back on track to believing that we can get them housing, to trusting us and knowing that we are able to provide some guidance despite being resistant. We want to be able to help out. I lost it. I'm sorry.
No worries.
I'm just like so nervous. The lights, the camera. I'm sorry.
Shake it out.
I have to. Okay, because like I know you just relayed to me what I should say, and it just went blank.
No,
I need more coffee.
This is a very unnatural way to communicate.
Yeah, it's just so different.
We put all this stuff in your face.
Yeah.
And then say, okay, relax.
It's so different. I'm sorry. So repeat that again.
You're really doing a great job. Really.
Thank you.
Believe me.
Okay.
You have no idea.
It's
30
just like,
years
whew.
what we've seen.
Okay.
You're doing fine. This is an awkward way to.
It is, because it's like I'm trying to speak from where I'm speaking, but then being guided as well and trying to readjust to that. But
and you're also trying to have your professional hat on.
Exactly.
Our job is to make you look great.
Okay, good.
Which is not.
Am I sweating? Is the makeup okay? Okay.
You're doing fine.
All right.
So, if you could say again, like the Romeros, many families are initially resistant to accepting
got it.
or being told what they need to do.
Okay. So like the Romeros, many families are resistant to, being told what they need to do, and, they don't necessarily want the services that we're offering. What they want is housing. That's what they initially come here for. We're a housing first model, but there's a lot of barriers that we need to address in order to get them housed. And a lot of families don't realize that initially. What they think is that they're going to come to the program, they're going to get housed, and that's it. But there's certain expectations that we have in this program that they need to meet. So we need to find a way to help the family feel comfortable with working on some of the other things, such as budgeting, to help them get to the point where they can sustain housing. So it's not about just obtaining, it's about sustaining. So that's what we need to work on with our families, but they're usually hesitant, about getting that done. So we need to find ways in which we can make them feel comfortable and helping them and meeting them halfway on that journey.
What are some of the biggest challenges you see that people are facing who come to the agency?
Some of the biggest challenges that people who come to the agency face is being able to afford basic living. We have a single mom with 3 kids, and she's only receiving about $329 in cash assistance. That's not enough for anyone to survive. So that's huge. If you're not going to have enough money to afford market rate, you feel hopeless. And another barrier is not having childcare in place. Like, childcare is expensive. So in order to be able to fulfill the requirement of a job, your kids need to be situated. So I feel like one of the biggest challenges is finances and also stability with childcare.
Let's say things in another way. Many people feel hopeless when they come to you.
Yeah.
How does Family Aid Boston give families hope that things will change?
That's a good one. So many people do feel hopeless when they come to us, and we try to have families feel empowered. And in doing so, it's by letting them know that, you do have some control in terms of the outcomes. You don't have control over how the system is set up, but you can take this as an opportunity to continue to grow. Right now, while you're in the program, you don't have to worry about housing. We have that need met temporarily. So this gives you time to focus on things like going to school, perhaps gaining some employment opportunities. Like, we want to focus on, building yourself up. So when you are out there into permanent housing, you'll know how to sustain. So I feel like Family Aid gives them that opportunity because we're providing temporary shelter. So that's one less thing that you have to worry about.
Okay. There's one more thing. If you could say something like, the Romeros are initially reluctant to follow to the letter all the services or all the advice they were given, but eventually they did, and they followed everything step by step and were able to get into permanent housing.
Okay. Yep. All right. So the Romeros had a hard time following the guideline in terms of what's needed to get them into permanent housing. And it was a difficult challenge for them because they're coming into the program. And again, there's so many expectations that we have of our families. But when they followed all the steps and all the guidance that was being provided, they were able to get housed because they themselves were able to see and realize that, if I follow this, then eventually this will happen. The outcome is positive, but it's difficult. It's not an easy road. But if you give it a try and you're open to doing the things that is expected of you, eventually you will get out the program and you will get into permanent housing.
How many families a year does Family Aid Boston serve roughly?
I don't know that off the top of my head. I know in our program right now we have like 123, I believe.
Anything else, Scott?
No, I think we got it.
Okay.
I think so too.
All right, great.
Okay, the only other thing we want